welcome back viewers. In the last class we are discussing about sustainable and clean energy, and we are discussing about the policies and regarding the renewable energy sources and how to assess the needs of the future energy requirements, how to use it sustainably. So, to continue with that only, so we will discuss today about the how the energy is related to our climate. It is very much evident that how it is related to our climatic change, climate and atmosphere, etc., but at the same time life on the land also. So, these 3 SDGs, we can say this SDG 7, that is clean affordable energy and climate action, and life on land, that is SDG 15, all these 3 are very much interlinked, interrelated. So, the targets that focus primarily on the environment and on the climate also relates, is very much related to energy sources, because the energy is directly affecting the atmosphere, the land, the life of the plants, the life of human beings, so the pollution, the air quality, everything. So, all these 3 SDGs is very much interlinked. So, now let us focus on. So, in the target 13.1, it is mentioned that within this energy domain, that is the strengthen the resilience and adaptive capacity to climate related hazards and the natural disasters in all countries. So, these targets related to environment also focuses on how to strengthen the resilience of the society, of the people, of the ecosystem, and adaptive capacity to climate related hazards and natural disasters that very often we are facing. So, how it can be managed, how this resilience can be built up to face this kind of climate related hazards and natural disaster in all the countries and across all the countries. And target 13.2, that is integrate the climate change measures into the national policies, strategies and the planning. So, at the government level, it should be very much implemented in the policies in terms of eco-friendly policies, how to integrate this climate change measures to be adopted by the agencies both at the national and international level in terms of policies, planning commission strategies and legal implications also. And next target at how to, again regarding in education, how to improve education awareness rising through different workshops, information channels, media, communications and institutional capacity on climate change mitigation, all kinds of adaptations, impact reduction, early warning. So, all from the meteorological department to the policies to the education department to information and broadcasting, all the sections how they should act cooperatively and collaboratively to improve the education awareness, human activity and capacity to deal with this climate change, to mitigate it through warning, regular warning, then the advocacy and all kinds of information system. So, that is from this is the average global temperature that increased by 0.85. So, gradually as we can see from these especially in the coastal areas with recurrence of the natural disasters like the floods and the cyclones and all kinds of these calamities that happens. So, gradually the temperature in the countries in the different states also gradually increasing, the overall temperature in the coastal areas, especially in the coastal areas, gradually increasing. So, how to mitigate, and that is the result of this climate change, that is the result of these disasters, climatic change, disaster happening because of the climatic change or the pollution and all kinds of the and global warming. So, how to mitigate it? So, target 13A also says that implement the commitment undertaken by the developed countries to the United Nations framework. So, these are some of the conventions are there, how to mobilize the funds and how to monitor, how to mitigate the mitigate the actions and the things, and how to bring transparency in implementation, monitoring. So, how to again whatever a green climate fund is there in United Nations, it is a responsibility of the developed countries how to distribute it, how to help it, help the underdeveloped countries or developing countries in distributing distributing and facilitating in installing in the infrastructure, in installing this renewable energy. So, how to this green climate fund can be distributed and utilized properly properly by the developed countries for the, and how the developed countries should reach out to the underdeveloped countries or developing countries to capitalize this benefit in terms of renewable energies, creating the sources of renewable energy, installing the infrastructure, etc. So, 13 point B again said, they promote the mechanism for raising the capacity for effective climate change related planning and management. So, at the same time, it is not just enough to install the infrastructure, but also to build up the capacity, human capacity, financial capacity, that's for the effective management and planning also, so that the least developed countries can also manage their, they will be able to learn and manage their own business. So, including the focusing on the youth, women, local people, marginalized communities, how to empower, enhance their capacity in not only installing, but maintaining and managing the their renewable energy sources through, through education, through information, through workshops, through hands-on activities, through capacity building workshops, all kinds of training, skill development, all kinds of things. So, these are some of the videos are there which are related to this climate change and energy, renewable energy, that you can go through it later on. So, now we can say that this climate change is the major factor, that sustainable, that goal, that is the major goal. Then it is also very much related to our policies, that is policies on the life on land, then our energy sector. So, all these SDGs are, you can say, primarily are very much interlinked, because all these are related to either our life, human life, or life on land, and our environment, and our finance and economic prospects. So, all these 17 SDGs are related to these three, that means the triple bottom line, or basic three pillars of the sustainable development framework. So, these are some of the graphical representation, as you can see how the temperature is gradually rising, increasing the temperatures, and these are some of the things you can say across the countries, how this energy per person, how the energy consumption is also gradually increasing, and this is the temperature. So, these are some of the graphical representation. So, and this how the temperature is also leading towards the knockdown stages, like knock on, for example, hurricanes. All these natural disasters or the man-made disasters are the outcomes of this unsustainable consumption and use of resources. So, rising sea level, because of the global warming, the sea level is also increasing, rising hurricanes. Then pandemic, that means pandemics are also, yes, these are also the outcomes, and storms, very frequent storms, even now you might have observed even in America, in Canada and America, being the cold country, even then they are that means there also this wildfire is also wildfire, and the forest fire are also coming up, and the sudden flood, and sudden, that means rising of the sea level. These things are, they are also facing this kind of the disasters. So, climatic displacement, then wildfire fires, even in the countries like America and Canada. So, and these are also this is the, you can say that how this climatic change, that it also global climate change, that is the state of the climate change. For example, warmest year, then the ocean records, that is sea level is also rising, sea ices are also being sea ices, like there in the Iceland areas, the sea that means sea ices are also being melting and causing the water level rises in the sea, warmest years, then the state of, these are some of the records, that is then means affordable, then means marine life, how the marine life can be protected and conserved, that is. So, all these are the things, this is the kind of the climate, how global climate it affects all the things, both the land, both the forest, both the marine life, the life on land, every aspect how it is affecting. So, these are some of the outcomes of this climatic change and unsustainable energy uses. So, now moreover this pandemic, again this pandemic is also another thing, pandemic. So, when we compare pandemic in 2020 versus the climate change, okay. So, these are some of the things, some of the findings, like in the global mortality rate also increases because of these kind of things. So, these are the data given by the different countries. Similarly, we are also expecting that increase in the global temperature are also expected to elevate the worldwide mortality. It is not just because only due to the pandemic etc., but also because of the global temperature high temperature rise also, it can also cause the mortality rate, increasing worldwide increasing mortality rate. So, therefore, the climate change might just be as harmful as the COVID-19. So, one or the other, we are facing one or the other disasters. So, therefore, this and the COVID-19 or this pandemic has actually taught us how to be well prepared, be resilient for the future such disaster. So, national climate change and the air quality strategies to reduce the risk for cascading the climate hazards and gain the health co-benefits. So, these are the learning lessons, takeaways that we have experienced during this pandemic, and the different surveys, different data analysis, these are being done, how to mitigate and how to be prepared, better prepared for the future risks that we are facing, we may face in future. So, here again how this whole process has been evolved, how this process have been evolved, how these are being monitored, and how these are being regulated by the international agreement. So, let us focus on these some of the things. So, climate action evolution 1, that is evolution of international agreements, that from time to time these agreements, international agreements are being made, but how the countries are fulfilling, how the countries are meeting these, how the countries are following these agreements, to evaluate it from time to time, to monitor it. So, let us see. So, climate action evolution 1, that is sustainability. So, sustainable development here, sustainable development definitely includes sustainable economic development, social development, sustainable natural built environment, that is eco-friendly. So, Broadland Commission report in 1987 has already given the outlines, had already that stated that the meeting the needs of the present without compromising the future generation is actually is called the sustainability framework, which is something which is intergenerational, which also works on the intergenerational equity, conservation and sustainable use. So, since 1987 we have been deeply contemplating on climate change and sustainability, environmental conservation, all kinds of environmental education, all these things we have been contemplating since 1987 from the Broadland Commission onwards. But how from time to time how these are being evolved, through and we have to monitor it from, for example, 1972 Stockholm report to till date, that is UNESCO's 2015 SDGs, and in between so many other agendas, United Nations agenda, then Millennium Development Goals, so many things, how these whole process is being evolved. So, again climate action evolution 2, that is COP, climate mitigation adaptation awareness under the aegis of the UN FECC, and stabilizing of the greenhouse gas concentration in the atmosphere, and anthropocentric and ecocentric. The research is also being conducted, extensive research is also being conducted from 95 to 97, how from the Kyoto Protocol to technology transfer to 2015 global warming. So, these are the data given by the different different survey reports, reports, and 2021 COP26 says that how the resilient infra, resilient 100 billion climate finance per year. So, starting from the Paris rule book, all these things are related to the evaluation of the status regarding to greenhouse gas concentration, to air pollution, to the climatic change, all kinds of things. So, now the intergovernmental panels on climatic change, intergovernmental panels for the climatic change had won the Peace Nobel Prize. So, again monitoring the which country is fast moving towards the sustainable society, sustainable towards the achieving SDGs, and they are being also provided the acknowledgement of its efforts in increasing in creating awareness for the fight against climate change. In the Asian countries, Japan is leading ahead all of us in creating a more sustainable and eco-friendly country, and also it is a worldwide, it is a peaceful country, and it is a peaceful country, not only, and sustainable country, and it has make large effort in not only creating an ecosystem, but also in conserving, in developing sustainable habits, and you can see inculcating this sustainable paradigm shift in their work culture, in their education, in their practices also. So, these are the committees monitoring the status of this climatic action and agreements from time to time. So, similarly, climatic action evolution 3, that is the climate finance, finance in terms of investment like convention of UNFCCC, Kyoto protocol, Paris agreements, then what the theme was to transfer the public resources from the developed to developing countries. And similarly, the next is UNFCCC mandate to lead the global environment facility, that has acted on the financial mechanism being operating the systems, institutions. Copenhagen Accord, that is Paris parties agreed for the goal for the world to raise 100 billion per year for by 2020 for, and from diverse issues, from the diversification of the energy resources from the wide variety of sources, from the and to help the developing countries to cut the carbon emissions and mitigation through technology transfer, etc. Then COP16 also parties established the Green Climate Fund, how to establish the Green Climate Fund and how to use the resources and financial resources for helping out the developing the mechanism in the developing countries. So, special climate change fund also, special climate change fund has also been created, and the developed countries, at least for it should be managed by the developed countries, and adaptation of the fund under the Kyoto protocol. So, here the thing is, the goal is that net zero or the net minus creation, net minus that means, or net zero carbon is India's stand for the developed countries, and the developed wants India to commit to the net zero emission or the net minus emission, carbon emission for the as the target of India. So, goals to commitments would also be emphasized. So, goals to commit, first is the commitment, and the target, that are not only setting the target will be enough, but commitment towards the goal achievement. So, from the net zero to net minus, that is that should be the India's stand for mitigating the climate change impacts. So, here again the loop is that the climate change to global the greenhouse gas emissions to carbon footprints, all kinds of things, how to mitigate it. So, these are the challenges. Then again, so nowadays we are focusing more on green society, green energy, green marketing, green product, green all kinds of things. So, what are the challenges that are involved, that are there inherent in this green electricity? So, as we can see, 36% energy is being created from the coal sector, 23% natural gas sector, and hydropower 16%, nuclear 10%, renewable 11%, and oil and other 3 and 1, that is 4%. So, this how to increase these renewable energy sources, and how to decrease our dependence on these coal sources from the coal energy or the natural gas energy. So, the challenges of the green electricity is that, yes, intermittency, size, capital investments, breaks in the electricity supply, because even if we are depending or increasing our nuclear power energy, that may be the disasters, that may be disaster that takes place like in Fukushima in Japan. So, that can be a lesson, even in our Bhopal gas tragedies also, that is also these kind of the lessons that we have to learn from this. So, sometimes some unfavorable policies, tax rules for the environmental regulations, some of the outdated laws, like for the climatic change we need to update our acts. So, old and outdated laws. Then again, election cycles in every country, election, political environment, financial condition, election cycle, energy innovation, yes, how much we are spending on R&D, renovation, energy creation, energy research. So, again, at the same time, so these are the challenges, independent challenges of every country, but however, there are also, we need to have the global cooperation. So, no global cooperation, like every country is, they are very much keen in to fulfill or achieve their own goals and fulfill their own criteria, but yes, we need to have the global cooperation. So, without global cooperation it cannot be resolved, because it is not just about one country or two country. So, it is about all the communities, all the countries across the globe. So, the US withdrawal from the 2015 Paris Agreement, okay. So, that has also impacted, that has also impacted this global climate change policies. So, how to maintain this global global climate as to create them to collaborative in the work, they work in the collaborative way. So, how to involve and engage all the countries equally, and how to commit towards this kind. So, all these kinds of things, these are the challenges that we are facing on day to day basis, and it is across the globe, the challenges that we are facing to create the green electricity. So, it is not at the hand of one country or in the hand of the UNESCO or in the developed countries, but it requires the global cooperation, global collaboration. So, as you can see, this is the renewable energy and sustainable development, how renewable energy from the different sources, bioenergy, solar energy, wind energy, how to use sustainable vehicles, like the reduce our use on the petroleum gases and electricity supply, solar energy. So, how this is the circle, this is the learning cycle of the renewable energy and sustainable development. And here there are also so many videos, YouTube videos are there, which from which we can also get more and more ideas to, at least even in our lifespan, in our environment, in our household, in our life sphere, to use it sustainably. So, again, renewable energy sources, yes, renewable energy sources, that is how gradually we are shifting towards more cleaner, more renewable forms of energy, and also at the same time we also need to invest on the economic sectors such as energy production, transportation, industry, because all these sectors are to be updated. So, how to reduce the carbon emission, even in India also, like we can see from time to time how these CNG gas auto rickshaws, then the vehicles pollution control and rules and regulations are being implemented from time to time. But again, the thing is that we can control this carbon emission to to a very limited percentage, because unless and until we replace it with renewable energy, we cannot control how to reduce the, that means even if that means we have to shift from, we have to move away from this kind of energy to unsustainable energy sources, from the coal, from the from the petroleum products, to we have to how to completely drastically 360 changes, shift towards the completely renewable and clean energy. And how to use our resources like solar resources, hydro resources, bioresources, and wind resources for the renewable energy creation. That is the biggest challenge that has that we are facing nowadays, that has been put before us. So, similarly, renewable energy is market ready and price competitive. Once we have created, once the energy is being created, so then its distribution, its prices, it also creates a kind of creates renewable energy is market ready and price competitive with the conventional sources in many jurisdictions. So, how to prepare it, how to sell it, how to make it market ready and its price, all these are also the conventional, and the and how to compete with the conventional sources of energy, what would be its market price. So, these things are also the challenges. Similarly, communities, different communities and cities, they have also found that the transition to 100% renewable energy is largely the matter of political will also, because it depends on a lot of things like political environment, election, and again consensus, because first of all, in order to implement a policy, we need to have the consensus, which that we see from the all the political parties should agree together. So, getting a transition from that means conventional source of energy to the completely 100% renewable energy, that is also a matter of political will, cooperation, then required technology, resources, all kinds of things. Like that is why you can see that the oil rich countries, which are primarily primarily monarchy based countries, monarchy governed countries. So, they are competent enough, they are not only in terms of resources, but they are in terms of implementation, policy implementation also. So, they have the control, they have the they have the power to implement it. So, that is why all these oil rich countries, that the monarchy based countries like Saudi Arabia, Saudi, Middle East countries. So, they are well ahead of us in implementing these things, because not only they are having the sources also, but they are also shifting in terms of technology transfer. They have enough of financial resources and implementation of policy. So, implementing this 100% renewable energy policy, transition to the renewable energy policy is also a matter of political will, consensus, commitment, transparency, all kinds of things, and moreover technology transfer is also very important. So, all the continents are setting the ambitious target for getting the renewable energy by 2030, but at the same time we have to resolve all these issues, all these internal issues, all the political issues, all the financial issues. So, and that is why the rapid development of renewable energy has been driven mainly by the wide range of objectives, like objective drivers. So, it has for the renewable energy also there are 3 major drivers, like as we have already discussed, that is one is the economic development drivers, improving the energy security, energy success and climate mitigation change, and other social and environmental implication, environmental drivers are also there. So, in the next slides, next class we will discuss about the drivers that govern this renewable energy and sustainable and clean energy. Thank you very much.